Hello and welcome back to Ovdal Lodhum. Now, this may not be Valentine's Day anymore, but this campaign is proving to be quite fun, so I will continue playing it. And as we jump back in, the world has been revealed to us, or some of it has, including Arg Ordston. So now we have a mission completed, the other hold. We've at long last discovered another hold in the Serpent's Reach. Arg Ordston, like us, have managed to weather the ages. It's important that we as dwarves, regardless of hearth and hold, come together as one people to reclaim our home. Let us send a delegation to inspire them to join us and unite as one people in the face of the greatest challenge of our age, reclaiming the Dwarvar. So, another grudge happens in 60 days. The fact that it's called another grudge makes me feel that maybe they're not going to just join us, and they're going to insult us instead, which is unfortunate. Not only have they insulted us, they have rivaled us as well. I don't believe this is going to be a successful venture. Love can come in many forms, many pleasant, some dark, and others twisted. In this case, it's not even one of those forms. Our delegation to Arg Ordston has returned, battered and evidently unwelcome. They were met at the gates and their case heard, but what came next was unexpected and unacceptable. They called us love-blind fools, insinuating relations with orcs and goblins to pass the days in our hold, and say if we truly love dwarfkind, we will kneel to Arg Ordston, and perhaps after we've proven our worth, we will be treated as if we were a favoured pet or tool. They even threw rock dust to hasten their departure. These insults cannot go unanswered. The leadership of Arg Ordston must pay. We offer love and friendship and they mock us? That's unfortunate, but we do gain a permanent claim and new missions with which to potentially take Ovdal, Arg Ordston. I need to make them not exist and own their hold. Okay. After many years of work, Virkal Skomdir has been restored to its former glory. We face many trials and tribulations, but surely, with the hold functioning once more, we'll be able to truly build our nation up, or in this case down, towards a better tomorrow. Which is fantastic. We restored the Virkal Skomdir hold. Though we had not laid eyes on it for many centuries, stories about the Deepwoods remain popular among our people. It's been a very more romantic quality about itself. Dangerous but beautiful, magical but treacherous. During the time of Old Dwarf, Virkal Skomdir stood as the bulwark against it and the gateway to it. In spite of its labyrinthine entranceways and warding magic, however, it fell long ago with orcs defiling its ruined halls. Let us reclaim and rebuild the Wood Ward Hold, and let it fulfill its old purpose. So for 10 years I get construction and development cost in Virkal Skomdir. I don't think there's anything I want to build right now. Oh, actually, no. Definitely there is. That was a lie. Development 79 to Devitt. It is currently hold level 1, and it needs to get to 40 for the next hold level. So I think what I'll do is just put 4 points of development into it to get it to 40, and then let it dig down. Seems reasonable. We had heard before that there was a war where the Dwarves of Kugdir fought alongside the humans of Castnor against the giants. It had never been a distant thing, however, and we had not heard about the great tales that were forged in that conflict. Greatest among these, by far, are the tales of Murray Giantbreaker, who is said to have killed dozens of giants by his own blade. After his passing, he was given a place on the shrines as a new great ancestor, and we shall do the same. So now I have a new ancestral teaching. And here it is. Murray Giantbreaker's Code of Combat gives plus 5% infantry combat ability, which is quite nice. I think I probably wouldn't have taken it over what we already have, but it's definitely nice to see some military bonuses jump in there. With the Thieving Arrow tribe dealt with, we can now safely start making use of the lands outside of our hold. We ought to find the best metal veins in the area and set up mining operations there. So it gets safe caverns for 20 years, giving production efficiency. Our patrols just beyond the labyrinths of Virkal Skomdir do not tend to be all that eventful, save the encounter with the occasional goblin or orc raider. This time, however, they came across a badly wounded elf, leaning against a tree, who was passing in and out of consciousness. After he was brought to the hold to recover, we tried to find out what happened to him. We could not understand him, but after he was handed a piece of chalk, he drew a figure that every dwarf in the room recognized. Angry grumbling and cursing filled the room, and the elf recoiled in fear before he realized that not he, but the orc he had drawn, was a target of our rage. While the dwarves had calmed down after every last one of them had personally sworn vengeance, the elf managed to explain through gestures and further drawings that his clan still survived, but was hard-pressed by the wars with the orcs and goblins. We'll not let our ancestral enemy to wipe out another civilization. So I'll discover all of the... No, I won't. Sala Aelith. No, I will still discover all of them. Very nice. And another colony is self-sustaining. Very nice indeed. The legacy of Gerin Orkrent. A cause, a dream, and a destiny. The sword knows what it's doing. Balgar still does not feel comfortable with it in his hand, but a blade that has slain 100,000 orcs can add more to that total, even in an uncertain hand. That is, of course, what Balgar is trying to convince himself of as he takes his first steps outside Ovdal Lodhum's walls since the fateful expedition which saw his father slain and a human encountered. The rest of that story was history, but today Ovdal Lodhum's future is written. With a pen of steel and orcish blood as ink, we unlock the Slaughter the Orcs decision. If I have an owned province and 10 regiments there, with orcish majority, I gain Orkrend for a little bit of time, giving morale of armies, movement speed, and shock damage. I'm not sure I would want to do this. Any orcish presence within the Serpent's Reach is a threat to the safety of Ovdal Lodhum. Orkrend will not rest until they are cleared out, and there's been many more lives to claim yet. Okay then. I get that for a month only. Okay. It has been a very long time since we have had proper contact with the humans of Canor. Now that the way to Escan is open once more, we have heard amazing tales of the wonders of a dwarf there has wrought. Balgar, in service to the Empire of Castor, designed several wondrous castles, an impressive wall that stretches all around the inner parts of Castor. The dwarves of Canor have accepted him as one of the great ancestors of their shrines. Balgar the Builder's 15 Steps of Construction is now available as an ancestral teaching. Construction cost minus 7.5 is very tempting. Officially known as the citadel that shields against the wood, Verkelskomdir's main feature was its circular gem-adorned gate, which is also the Hold's flag. It is said that the gate was warded by ancient rune and gem magic in order to protect the Hold from the malicious influence of the Fae. In addition to the warding gate, Verkelskomdir is also known for being the origin of flintlock schematics. While Ovdal Kanzad perfected cannons and artillery, it was the Flint Dwarves who perfected the small arms of the Dwarven Empire. And I believe, because the global modifier is actually quite strong, we're just immediately going to be building this. So, Orkrend. Basically, right now we are stood here with 10,000 troops in our Grod 5. We could click the Attack Natives button for 102 military points and kill every one of the natives here. Or we could slaughter the orcs for 25 military points, percent chance of losing some amount of troops, but all of the orcs will be wiped out. It might actually be a good idea. We do need to fight them as well. But now all the orcs are dead. After rediscovering Gorva Zumbarog, tales have reached our ears of a great dwarf. Known as Krummel Orkslayer, he held the line against the orcish invasions into the Segbandal, and even ventured to the surface world in order to aid the humans of Bulwar against an orcish incursion from Hull Jorkad. After his passing, the dwarves, the old Segbandal, raised him to a position of great honour on their shrines as one of the great ancestors. And so shall we. "5% morale of armies. Very tasty." Garen's legacy is in every new tunnel dug, every road cleared of vermin, every step taken by every dwarf outside of Ovdal Lodhum's walls. But even fulfilling the task he inspired us to do, a quest we have just begun, will not be sufficient to honour this man, this legend, and all his glory. We should begin work on another form of tribute. 2 should be insufficient, but we must try nonetheless. To the orcs, Orcrind was known as a trickster, a shadow in the night whose traps and ambushes were as important to his deadliness as his proficiency with the sword. Many saw him as a shadow, a nightmare, the serpentspine's deadly darkness embodied. The orcs might be surprised to see the monument we have built to Garen in Orcs Fall, though the only orcs to be found anywhere in the vicinity are corpses. The statue is carved of bright marble, carved and polished to the point that it sparkles in the torchlight. Garen's gaze looks towards the distance, just as the man himself always looked beyond. He gestures Orcrind almost absent-mindedly. It's always an extension of his body, after all, and accurately conveying that took the sculptor team as long as the rest of the work combined. We did take one liberty, only one. The pommel is adorned in garnets. He was ours at the end, after all, and we are his, now and forevermore. Garen's glory until the end of the game with yearly prestige. Very nice. After many years of effort, we finally finished the new districts of our hold. This feat of architecture and engineering offers us many opportunities for expansion into the future. We will gracefully strike the sensual earth. And with that, it now costs us once again 5 monarch points to develop our hold. And we need to get to level 70 development to get to the next level of hold. It's going to take some time. Though perhaps if we first build a mage tower for a minus 10% development cost, that will go a little bit faster. As our hold progresses ever deeper into the earth, it's come to our attention that, like in the days of Old Dwarf, a hold must specialize to witness its true potential. From now on, Ovdal Lodhum must decide to focus on a certain aspect based on what natural resources and opportunities the hold has available. Will it focus on the infrastructure of a foundry hold, full of conveyors, tracks, and great forges to outscale any other metal production? Perhaps infrastructure to maintain an even higher population? A metropolis, houses stacked upon houses carved upon the walls of the Dwarvar, where the city and commercial business can flourish alike. Maybe a hold to focus on the finer arts. A hold beautifully crafted, with elegant architecture to please and inspire our master artisans and crafters. Or it might even have the infrastructure to support vast vertical farms, so that our hold will be green with plant life to feed our people. Or perhaps the hold will lean towards military matters, with large fortifications and massive roads, so as to defend ourselves against outsiders, both above and below. Only time will tell what our hold will specialize in. Do I want to go with the foundry for local goods produced, or do I want to go with military? I think I will be going with foundry. The elves of the Deepwoods are caught in a deadly struggle with our ancestral enemy, the orcs. The fey-infested woods might be dangerous, but we're duty-bound to help them. We're quickly putting together our first convoy into the Deepwoods to deliver the elves and the aid they need to help win this fight. So I unfortunately lose manpower that I don't really wish to, but we'll discover every province of the Deepwoods. Again. War. War never changes, but we have. We've opened up long, slumbering gates, we've sharpened rusty blades, we dug up old maps and sketched out new ones, and we've learned again the terror of an orc charging at you, the thrill of being seized by bloodlust, and the emptiness when that fades. We've learned the feel as a sword cuts through flesh, the judder when it stops at bone. We've learned what it takes to watch a friend die mere meters away, to leave their corpse behind in retreat. We forgot those things. Orcrind did not, and now, from beyond, he has taught us one last time. Step, lunge, block, step, cut, half-twirl, slash. Balgar is still using the motions he learned from his father. though he has picked up on some of the improvisation necessary when a black orc's tusks aim to gouge out your throat. Battle, ambush, slaughter. The days and weeks and months have already begun to blur together, and Balgar has lost count of the number of deaths added in Orkren's toll. He can't help but shudder when he thinks that this was his father's life, the sum total of it, for decades. This is life? Manpower recovery speed is going to come in very handy, and Orc's Fall gets Garen's glory until the end of the game. The entrance to the rest of the Dwarvar is secured. It must be fortified, patrolled at all times to ensure that no orc or goblin can infiltrate its way into our borders and cause the same degree of chaos which led to our people's decline. With the mountain sealed off, we can finally focus on purging the remaining orcs and goblins in the Serpent's Reach, now that they have no hope for reinforcement or help. We should ensure their caverns become their tombs. That's because I put a fort in Gorod 1. Now I gain some points in Gorod 1 and some Splendor. And I have historical rivals with a bunch of filthy orcs. Now I need to rid ourselves of the orc majorities and minorities inside the Serpent's Reach. Elf and dwarf must stand side by side against the tide of orcish and goblin hordes. We should forge a permanent bond of friendship and loyalty, and support one another in securing our homelands. So I'm allied with Sala Aelith. I get against the tide for 20 years, giving morale of armies and land maintenance modifier, and I'm friends with Sala Aelith. And I enforce unity decision. Interesting. Now we see what that is. It's vital to us that the Deep Woods be united under one banner as soon as possible, but our allies are hesitant to start any conflicts. Let's put some pressure on them to initiate their conquests. So if I have 75 diplomatic points, I can cede a province to Sala Aelith. I assume that'll be this one right here. And something potentially could happen after that, but I do gain points. I like it. I will do it. So we shall now enforce some unity and gain some points. He's also allied with many of the elves already. If we can unite the whole home glade of our wood elven ally, we'll have a safe base of operations from which to strike at the rest of the orcs in the Deep Woods. So I once again gain some points and some power projection, and Sala Aelith will gain permanent claims on every province in the Deep Woods not owned by wood elves. Which is now these ones, and some more in there. The Wood Elves have become very adept at surviving the dangers of the Deep Wood, and their discipline and martial skill are admirable. Their weapons and tools, however, are woefully outdated and of negligible quality. We ought to supply them with proper dwarven equipment and get them on track with the times. So I lose some money, but I gain diplomatic points, and Sala Aelith gains money and tolerance of dwarves. So here I need their trust to be high of me. Now that my mage tower is built, we're going to start developing our holds quite heavily. And several hundred points later, with now a cost of 70, now a cost of 126, we're now at 70 development, and can once again deepen the hold. For 200 gold, I think that's very worth it. We can also enforce unity once again, spending our own diplomatic points and having other wood elves cede land to Sala Aelith. I mean, I don't like it. Virtrona from Virtrona. I'm certainly not going to be pressing that button. That is very expensive for no benefit. After much practice and study, Balgar has shown new magical talents and abilities, getting 200 magical study experience, which, if we pass 1 month, we increase our spell school level of enchantment to legendary. Now, I know I said in the previous episode that I wasn't really too enthralled with enchantment, but that was before I remembered that enchantment has something exceptionally good. And that is the ability to dominate to surrender enemy fortresses. Specifically, enemy holds. Now, if I was to go to Argordston and siege it down in the normal way, there is a high chance that I would end up damaging this hold quite substantially, and I'd rather not do that. However, if I was to go and maybe convince the occupants of this fine hold that actually love and togetherness is something that they do in fact want, they would throw open the gates of the hold for me and allow our troops entrance without a fight. Now that is certainly more desirable. And with Argordston currently fighting off Marblehead, I feel like it may be ripe, maybe the right time to go and do such a thing. Unfortunately, this hold has been partially ruined by this war, so potentially it would be a good idea for Argordston to repair it somewhat before I go in and take it. But right now, I do believe it is time that we do take the hold that we desire. Walking past a group of goblins on our way to Argordston, we'll arrive in the province, stand outside of the gates, and Balgar himself will have a chat with the defenders. We will cast domination even, upon Argordston. And they said no. We'll try again soon. No, for realsies. Like, we'll treat you good. No cap. Excellent. All it takes is a little bit of memery, and Argordston falls to our forces. Fantastic. Our enemy has succumbed and our grudge is fulfilled. We can take Argordston itself. And unfortunately for our brothers in a race, I don't know what I'm talking about, they have lost Shastundir to Marblehead. For sure we will be aiming to retake it. We have gained the hold of Argordston, and while we do it, we have also begun the colonization of Gor Barad, the hold of fire and volcanoes and lava and stuff. It's very cool. And now we make our way to Traitor's Lair, where here there lies some more orcs for us to rend. Unfortunately, despite there being orcs here, I'm not able to do anything about it. That's unfortunate. I thought I was going to be able to click this button. It has an orcish majority. It's not a city. I have 10 regiments present. I don't know why I can't click this. As we had hoped, both Argordston and Marblehead are commencing restoration operations on the holds. And Marblehead, as soon as they are finished restoring Shastundir, it will be falling to us, or it will be dominated and forced to surrender to us. The hold of Gor Barad has finally been colonized, but unfortunately, it's still somewhat infested, though I don't know with what, as the only pops here are dwarven. But however, we do get to clear the infested hold, and we'll be clearing it out just now. 9 black orcs will rise up, and 9,000 black orcs will be sent packing and murdered. Unfortunately, the hold is also ruined, so we'll be needing to restore our hold for actually not as expensive as I thought it was going to be. Our efforts have finally paid off, and Verkelskomdir has dug itself down to level 2, meaning its dev cost is, while not exceptionally cheap, it's still gone down, which is nice. Let's just throw in a little bit extra development there, because why not? Now it's at 50, and the next hold level is at 50. It can maybe dig down once again. We've unlocked a new idea group, and we have taken espionage ideas, primarily because of the policies with defensive for minus 7.5% shock damage received, some fort defense in there as well, and also the admin and diplo tech cost with infrastructure ideas. And now that we've taken it, and the first idea within it, we've unlocked another one of our nationals. Our people are perhaps the most wine-loving of all the dwarves, for wine has a particular place in our society. It's the drink most associated with love and all else that makes our hold special. By providing our soldiers with wine rations, we can use this cultural association to inspire them to defend our land of love with everything that they have. How delightful. And I have not forgotten about Sala Aelith either. We have managed to get their trust high enough such that we have completed another one of the missions. Now that our Wood Elf allies have probably established themselves again, they're a viable trading partner. The Deep Woods provide many resources that we cannot obtain within the mountains, and the Serpent's Reach can provide metals that the Wood Elves desperately need. So I get Elven minority size in Virkelskomdir and some trade efficiency, and Sala Aelith gets trade efficiency as well, and some Dwarven minority size. Very valuable. I still don't feel like enforcing unity though. If this... I don't see why it should cost me points is the only issue. I don't want to spend my own points. Especially not that many. If it was 25 of each, maybe. But 100 Diplo points is kind of crazy. It is time. Marblehead have repaired the hold for us. And now we will be taking it from them with an anti-monstrous conquest. We'll also call in Ovdal Lodhum, our new ally, and perhaps we will give him some of the land in Bulwar. Because, I mean, why wouldn't we? Sala Aelith, sure, you can come and help too. And as before, we will go and cast some siege magic and dominate the territory to surrender. Delightful. The goblins have been defeated, and it is time to piece them out. Of course, we will be wanting the caverns and the hold, but the land outside of the caverns and hold we will happily grant to our ally, Ovdal Lodhum, for their invaluable help in defeating this menace. And by invaluable, I of course mean they did the majority of the work, which is kind of crazy. I guess maybe if I'd stayed a little bit longer sieging Shazdandir, maybe it would have been different. But either way, they're happy with their earnings from this war, and I'm happy to give it. Peace has been signed. And the orcs here must be exterminated and expelled. The first of the orcs have been expelled from marble galleries. Soon they will be expelled from Shazdandir as well. Another hold has been united under our faith, and as such we can take another ancestral teaching. I believe it was actually Amaldir, but I'm not sure. But either way, the blessing that I will pick, I believe, is going to be the construction cost. I think 7.5% is a fantastic modifier, and we will take that and build so many things with it, because my economy is just kinda booming right now. Beautiful. The Gorge of Areg has also expelled its orcish inhabitants. It is only Shazdandir now that remains. Another nation has abandoned ancestor worship and turned to the Pantheon. This has led to discontent, as some are now demanding that we also take up worship of the Pantheon. Others demand that we stay loyal to the one true path that our ancestors walked, and not bother revering gods who abandoned our race before. Of course, where the king walks, most will follow. So either we go with the Dwarven Pantheon, or we remain loyal to Ancestor Worship, and I believe I'm going to go with Ancestor Worship this time. The Pantheon is incredibly flavorful, and if you want to check out how that mechanic works, I did a run as Cracked Umvor that you can check out, that I went Dwarven Pantheon in. But this time, we're going to remain Ancestor Worship. A group of miners came across some ancient runic tablet. Try as they might, they could not make sense of it. When it was brought to King Balgar, he looked upon it for a few minutes and spoke. This tablet speaks of the god And now we need to decide whether it is Auricus, Auricus, or Aurioricus. And, well, if you don't know the answer, probably the best way is to kind of cheat and to find out who it is in the Dwarven Pantheon. And, well, the best way to do that is like this, to look at the Anbennar wiki, which I'm basically shilling for right now because the Anbennar wiki is kind of amazing. Anyway, Airikus, the Hand of Dagran, organizer of the gods. As Dagran domain grew, so too did the need to organize it all. Realizing that while he ruled, he needed someone to spread his decrees and ensure they were followed. In this he sought a dwarf who would listen to his tasks and remain on the course. One dwarf in particular stood above the rest, and he was named Airikus. With this knowledge, Dagran raised him to a divine state, and made Auricus his hand and steward to ensure that all within his realm occurred as it should, and all tasks were followed to the letter. Auricus did so, driving fear and terror into the hearts of those who were found lacking in their efforts, and casting down shoddy or incompetent work as a disgrace to Dagran. So, Auricus, this one right here. I believe I got that correct. Wondrous indeed. The hall was filled with gasps of wonder. Though as such a scrap of knowledge, anything of the sort from the old days of Old Dwarf is quite the find. Even more amazing was King Balgar's ability to read these old runes, and he gained a little bit of admin points for it. It's time once again to take another idea. Fort maintenance minus 25 is going to be very handy for us, as our forts are going to be big, strong, and probably expensive. The mines of Ovdal Lodhum produce a fascinating glowing gem, which was once broken in halves and paired between spouses and lovers to symbolize their bond. They also serve as excellent sources of light in the tunnels of the Dwarvar, with varieties of many different colors and of illumination. As such, they were used in many lanterns across Old Dwarf, but the most valued by couples were always the ones with a red soft glow. While not as valuable as the diamonds of Argordston, these gems have nevertheless brought our hold much prosperity and acclaim with the other holds. And speaking of the diamonds of Argordston, it is time we once again go to war with them, after I make a claim on them, of course. It's finally happened. Shaztundir has been expelling the orcs, and finally they are now Garnet dwarves. Let us make a core there to show how grateful we are. Yes, I left this uncored all this time, because I will not core a province populated by orcs. It's just not going to happen. It's quite disgusting and despicable idea, of course. Ugh. Our claim is made, and now the diamond dwarves must succumb to us. Ovdal Tungar, of course, I will invite once again to this war. Maybe I can give them a little bit of referral, because they seem ardent at joining. Funnily enough, I can add Bursartenches and Dartax to the war, because why wouldn't they be on the same side? It just makes sense, right? But no, that's fine. We'll go to war. And we must march as soon as possible to Orgelavar, the final hold in Argordston's name, and we will take it all. For ourselves, Ovdal Lodhum. And as we stand here once again, we cast the siege magic and persuade the inhabitants of Orgelavar to surrender, and they say no. So once again, we wait and try again the next month. Dominate to surrender. Excellent. We came to you preaching love, and you threw dirt in our face. Quite literally. And now, Argordston, you will get the same treatment. Your armies will fall to ours, and this grudge will be paid. And that is actually quite a disgusting level of dominance that we've just shown. And infantry combat ability is always nice. We've pushed them onto the fort they once owned, and now they will finally and forever be destroyed. No more Argordston. Now I guess we gotta go help out our friend against Rayuel, because they're not doing so hot. While we were continuing this fight with Rayuel, I was also sending out an expedition into the Bazka Tunnel. The cavern is vast and empty except for its very centre, where lays a small yet ornate mausoleum. We shall not disturb whoever lies within. Perhaps they are some great dwarf. Perhaps they are one of the few goblins who garnered such a resting place. Perhaps they are someone else entirely. We shall take it as merely a reminder of all the greatness that has passed before. Greatness we may claim one day in turn. I gain the Tomb of Gramgear Steelbeard, so plus 2.5% morale until the end of the game, which is actually kind of hype. We'll take it for sure. Meanwhile, we merely await the siege of Azka, which is taking an exceptionally long time. Ovdal Lodhum doesn't seem too capable. How about we go and help out with some cannons of our own? Now 85% should totally be enough. And it is. We've managed to completely wipe out the Rayueli army and transferred all of the territory to Ovdal Lodhum, so we will now grant them as much of this land as we possibly can, which turns out to not be all that terribly much, but every little helps, and we'll probably be back at some point to do more. And as for our own war, we will take absolutely everything possible, which unfortunately is not actually all that much. We can take the hold, but it will be another war before this menace is driven from the mines. The grudge is yet to be settled. But the mountain has been colored in my color, so I count this as an absolute win of unprecedented proportions. While we have been mostly focusing on our Gordston and taking the lands within the Serpent's Reach, we've also expanded our influence north into the Serpentspine Mountains itself. And now that we have begun to colonize Hull Jorkad, the source of the Orc menace, though I don't think I actually know that, we have now come into contact with Ayarlin, the Harpy Queen cult of harpiness, led by a matriarch that we don't really like. So we are going to crush it and take for ourselves Lake Jorkad, which eventually will allow us to create a grand dam to cheapen the cost of our future deepenings of provinces. So all I want is this one province, or one state. And we will declare some superiority to get it. It should not be difficult. It was not difficult. Take your land, your money, and I guess, there is no way you have dwarf crown fragments. No, you definitely don't. No, they don't. Okay, I needed to make sure, because that worried me for just a moment. Lake Jorkad is ours. Galabur Kraktum, also known as Fireglass Forge, is the source of the main export of Gorberad, glass. Using the volcano's lava, the forge produces exquisite obsidian artwork and large quantities of glass even. Goods produced +1, and on glass, I think it will eventually turn it to glass? Probably? Yes, glass will produce in Gorberad. That's quite good, because glass is pretty good as a trade good. So we will start the production of that. Another espionage idea means another national idea. Our hold has a strong tradition of midwives, trained to exacting standards and once sought out by royal families across the Dwarvar for their skills. Even as Old Dwarf collapsed, these midwives continued to practice their trade, eventually retracting to just the Serpent's Reach, and now just our hold. Plus manpower recovery speed. For a dwarf, manpower recovery speed is so nice to have. Expelling wasn't enough, and now, in the year 1541, King Balgar has officially proclaimed that all orcs within the lands of Ovdal Lodhum must be killed on sight. They have no other choice but to flee the country. Begin the purge. Of course, we had to revoke the expulsion first, but it is what it is. We are now ready with our magical study, and we are now legendary in the art of transmutation, which of course means that I will be creating myself an homunculus, because they're actually kind of amazing when I have 50 Diplo points, naturally. Due to the recent orders to purge the orcish race within Ovdal Lodhum, many orcs from Argrod 12 have fled their homes. And good riddance to them as well. And I believe that may be the final orcish province. There is no orcs under these mountains. Every orc, male, female, and even their runts lay dead. The Serpent's Reach is clear. While some goblin band here or there may remain in a hidden or collapsed section of tunnel or cavern, the major threat, that being of the orcs, is no more. The Serpent's Reach is now clean, and we have done such a job it would make even Garin proud. Let us bask in the afterglow of such a job well done, and enjoy the hard-earned fruits of our labour of love. Again, power projection and Garin's glory. Give me taxes and yearly prestige. We did him proud. And with the final espionage idea, we have unlocked our final national idea. The rulers of Ovdal Lodhum made a reputation for themselves to be fair and honourable when ruling all parts of their territory. The rulers were taught from a young age to respect the traditions of the hold, and to rule justly and fairly, making many local nobles and other authorities respect them, even when they were in their youth. This rulership has inspired them to not rule for their own gain, but to follow the customs of Ovdal Lodhum and govern honourably. So we get monthly autonomy change and land fire damage, the main amazing thing in this. So we'll also grab ourselves admin and diplo tech cost, which is delightful. And if we're at war and we need it, shock damage received minus 7.5%. and 10% 40 defense is right there. I actually think it's probably better than the morale of armies, so we'll pop that on. And the morale of armies is there if we need it. And after 15 long years, the truce with Argolston is finally over, and we can finally put them to rest. This grudge has just one outcome, and it will be settled today. Or rather, in the next few months, depending on how long this siege takes. It took 193 days, which is way longer than I was expecting, but it did whatever. Argoldston's army is dead. And soon they will be too. And with that, the war is over, as is Argoldston. It took quite a lot longer than I thought it would, but it is finally done. Faceted so masterfully that it seems to absorb and pulsate with light, this enormous diamond, also known as the Aegis of the Serpent's Reach, was the crown jewel of Argoldston. It is said to exert a hold on those who gaze into its depths. Whether such tales are true or false, it's undeniable that it has a storied history. As Old Dwarf was being forged, Argoldston pledged support and handed the Aegis over as a display of faith in the High King and the Assembly. It was lost after Old Dwarf fell, of course, but we, its rightful owners, have located it, and have, after much bloodshed and subterfuge, acquired it. With the Aegis in our hands, our claim to rule the caverns of the Serpent's Reach will surely be uncontested. And again, production efficiency, plus 2.5% until the end of the game. Quite delightful. Argoldston's insults still ring in our ears. They called us weak because we cling to love, despite the fact that it was love that kept our hold strong throughout the ages. It was love that kept Garin with us, and it was love that finally began to let us claim the Dwarvar. The Diamond Dwarves are misguided, but we can teach them. Love is more than just being strong for one another. It's also about allowing ourselves to be weak for one another. The Diamond Dwarves have the first part. We'll have to show them how to be the second. They gain prestige and legitimacy, and Diamond Dwarf is an accepted culture, which I have not yet got because I didn't spend the points on it. Argoldston is restored, the hold, a glittering beacon in the darkness of the Dwarvar once again. It was only the labour of both us and the bonds of love that were created from it that allowed this. We've established a place where lovers, both diamond and garnet dwarves, can be together. Though it took much time and effort, they now understand that alone we are weak, but together we are stronger than even the hardest of diamonds. So we make amends for 30 years and lose some unrest. Beautiful. And with that glorious end, this is where I'm going to end this episode. I hope you have enjoyed this continuation of our Valentine's Day special Ovdal Lodhum campaign. If you did, please let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you, hopefully, in the next one. Bye-bye.